Kathy here from Kathyskutekreations. Today we're going to make a different kind of scarf. The end product will look similar to this. Now, if you notice, and you might not know it, but this was finished off with the serge machine. I don't want to show you how to do it with the serge machine because a lot of people don't have a serge machine, and maybe you'd like to make one of these. This is the way you wear it. Now, I have these little tie things here, little things that are adjustable, so this way you can adjust your mask to fit your face. And you just loop it over like this, and you wear it like that. All right, so this is more of like a formal type mask, not like the ones that I've been making, the Olsen mask, but it's not really that hard to make. I have some fabric. For the life of me, I cannot think of what the name of the fabric is, but just to give you an idea, it's real slinky. I got it at my quilt shop. You have to use a specific foot, and I have the foot, I'll show you, and I'm using a different needle normal than my 12, size 12 needle, but I did use my needle when I did my practice. I'll show you what that one looks like. I don't think it's going to make a difference on you because this fabric doesn't stretch as much. It's sort of like a, this right here is sort of like t-shirt. I mean, not t-shirt, I'm sorry. Like the hankies that the women used to have a long, long time ago. That's the kind of fabric this is. This is a little bit different because it's softer and it has a little bit of stretch this way compared to this one. But I will show you the results of doing it with my regular needle. It's a specific stitch, and I believe that most of the sewing machines have this stitch. I'll show you the stitch, what it looks like. And then I think that people have used, if I'm not wrong about this, they have used their zigzag foot to do it. But I actually have a foot that you can use with that stitch. And you probably do too, you just don't realize it. You've probably got it in your kit and don't know what the heck it's for. But I'll show it to you here in a minute. Now what I did, just for my practice, because I'm literally going to do the very first one out of this fabric here as a practice, and I've cut out two. The color on this fabric changes a little bit, so it's almost as if they're two different fabrics, but they are the same fabric. It's from one end of the yard to the other. I cut out 18.5 inches. If you use a serge, that's fine, because this one did end up being 8 inches, and when you use your serge machine, you actually end up cutting some off. And then it doesn't make any difference because this isn't going to be that big. But I did an 18-inch square. You just have to be real careful when you lay it out. When you iron it, you want to put it on your synthetic setting, because that's a cooler setting. You don't want to burn this, and you can burn this. It will literally melt underneath your iron if you're using a hot iron. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get started. I've already got a piece cut out, and like I said, it's 18-inch square. Here's my first piece, and the first thing that I did, and I've done it two different ways now. Let me show you this. This is my practice piece right here. Okay. So the first thing that I did, let me make sure you can see it here, is all I did was turn it over one time, like this, and I ironed it, and then I stitched it. And then what I did was I took this down here, I'm going to find it, this piece here, and I folded it under, make sure it's focusing, twice. So I folded it once, and I'm talking about not even 1/8 of an inch, very, very little, and then rolled it over again, and then ironed it so it lays like that when you get done ironing it, and then stitched over it. So let's see if you can see that. Hopefully it's... Now, I watched a video where it said not to back it up, but my machine, when you use the back stitch on this specific stitch, all it does is go up and down in the same spot. The way that you can do that with your sewing machine, if your machine doesn't do that now, if your machine wants to actually go backwards and zigzag over the top, then the first thing that I would do is take a straight stitch, come forward, go backwards, then set your stitch for this stitch that I'm going to do, that I'm going to show you, and stitch over that. So you've locked that into place already, if your machine doesn't do what mine does. So just fold your fabric. Let me make sure this is in the line. Yeah, all I'm doing is folding my fabric just a little bit and ironing it. And I have this setting at synthetic, which is right before the wool and the silk setting on my iron. You need to look at your iron. If all you have is a dial, like you have an older iron and it only has a dial like low, medium, high, go between the low and the medium, iron a little bit, feel what it feels like on your ironing board or your ironing pad or whatever. And if it just feels warm to touch, go ahead and try it. When you go across here, if it flips back up on you like that and doesn't leave a crease, then move your dial a little bit more. Now you can always put something over the top of this. In other words, you can put a piece of cotton after you've folded this over. Let me get a piece of cotton here to show you. This is my scratch piece, okay? So let's say that you folded this over and it didn't stay over. I would fold it over, hold it down with both fingers, put my cotton fabric over the top of it, and then I would just slowly iron like this, because you're not going to scorch your cotton, okay? Especially not on a synthetic or a medium setting. That's not going to burn your cotton. And then you just keep it like this, keep rubbing it, keep the heat on it, take it off, and then move this, and that should set it for you. Okay, I'm just giving you different options here depending on what you've got in the way of irons, and because I don't have no idea what you're using, nor the sewing machine. And then, like I said, I used a regular universal 12 needle. And then I have another needle that I'm going to use for this practice piece. This is actually the practice scarf. The other piece was just a piece of practice fabric that I had left over after I cut my scarf. And the first thing I'm doing, I'm going to go all the way around it and iron it. So you do that same thing. Here's the needle that I'm using. It's a Microtex. It's a size 12. And if you get a package of these, the back says up here, right here, is the part that's in English. Use it with microfibers, polyester, silk, foils, artificial leather, coated materials. Very thin acute point creates beautiful top stitching and perfectly straight stitches for quilt piecing. So you can use this right here, or you can just use your regular 12-inch needles, which are universal. And I have folded and ironed a little bit right here all the way around it. It does not need to be perfect. Let me show you the foot that I'm using. And this is the foot. And notice, let me get a pick here so you can see it. It has a bar right here. I'm going to turn it around for you. It is part of the foot. Okay? Here's what the back looks like. It's got a little bitty lip right here. I'll show you what the side looks like when it's laying on your machine. This piece here is going to be sitting down when you put your fabric in. Let's turn it this way for you. Your fabric is going to line up in this little spot right here. It's not going underneath this, it's going next to it, right between the two. Your thread is going to come over this bar right here, and it's going to come back and forth. And I'll show you a close-up when I get to going with it here. Let me get it attached. There it is on the machine. The fabric goes up just like this. And it does not go underneath this. It goes right next to it. See how it doesn't touch it? Now this part you can move over like that, but it's not going to go underneath this side of the foot. It's going to go up underneath the left hand side only. I'm going to start at the end because my machine locks it into place. I have this close up to my machine. Oh, let me show you the stitch first. I'm sorry. This is the stitch, number 17. That's the stitch that you want to use. It looks like right-handed side Christmas trees if you look sideways at it. It'll do a stitch down here and then a loop over. So that's what's locking it into place. And see if I need to turn this for you to get a better look at it. But like I said, mine will literally lock it into place. All right, this double face basting tape is perfect to use on the corners. So I put it on the corner here. You can see how well that's sticking. I have it here, which I will show you. I brought it down. I put it right there, and then what you do is you hold on to one corner and you, let me see if I can get you a little closer here. Then you pull the paper and it's sticky right there, and you fold that over. And this is the part that's already been ironed, and then that will hold that down. Alright, so I haven't done this before. So what I'm going to do is I am going to come down across, straight down. I'm going to turn it and then continue. And let's see if that works, and hopefully I am not in the way of this camera. So I'm going to put my foot down, choose my stitch. I'm not changing my length or anything. If you change your length or your width or anything, you might have to play with your tension. My tension is the same as it's always been, which is 4.0. So I'm going to put my needle down, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lock it in place. And like I said, this is a practice. Don't ever do this on your original. Always do practice first, because if it doesn't work, you haven't lost a thing. So let's see what we can do here. And I've never used this sticky stuff, so I'm not sure how that's going to work either. We're going to find out though. Let's take a look and see where I'm at. Okay, so I need to come out of this corner. I actually came off of my thing because I didn't see it, so let's move it over. And then we're going to start coming down here. But I found that if I ironed it, it was a lot easier than if I didn't iron it. That's the reason I ironed it. If you don't want to iron it, that's fine. Let's see here. And notice now, I'm keeping my fabric up against this foot, but it's not really against it. There's actually a little bit of a gap. And I'm keeping my fabric up here on the bed a bit so that it doesn't pull on it. And it's actually rolling my fabric because it believes my fabric is too wide. You'll see that here in a minute. I don't believe there is a back and a front on this fabric, so it didn't make any difference which way I was turning my my piece under. If yours has direction, you're going to want to pay attention to that, or if you've got any kind of seams or anything, this isn't anything specific. And this looks like my piece that was ironed is a little off, so I may go ahead and put my basting tape on that. It doesn't really take that much, and of course this is 1/8 inch because I was trying to do a narrow. Don't wait till you get to the tail end of it to put this on there, because then you won't be able to do it. And I just put it right on the edge of the fabric. And then I try to grab my, there we go, just like that. And then fold this over here. I guess you could do it the whole entire way down, but I only feel like I need it for the corners here to hold them flat. I'm going to move it up another step and go ahead and lock it again and cut it. And then that is it. I'll cut off some of these scragglies, but what we're going to do next is the face mask, and then what you'll do is you'll put it in half like this. We'll fold it in half like that at a diagonal, and then we'll attach the mask to it. So we're going to do that next. Okay, here it is, all finished. I went ahead and I put a nose piece up at the top. And here's my little pieces here on the side. So they're adjustable. And this is the way it looks. Now you guys already know how to make one of those masks. I made this one kind of small because her face is small, my friend. But if I was going to do it for myself, I probably would have made it a little bit bigger. And there you go. Can't put it on because I'm giving it away. Here it is, setting up on top of the ironing board so you have an idea of what it looks like. And it drapes over the body like that. So it comes down on the front. And then there's the side.
It's the nose
pretty
piece.
Good. Yeah, it looks really good. So I think I'm going to make a few of these now. So everybody knows how to make this mask. This is just the pleated mask. You don't even need it pleated if you didn't want to. You could have it gathered. It doesn't make any difference. It's going to be your design. So it looks pretty nice. I like it. I'm glad I decided to go ahead and make that. That is really good. And thank you, Megan, for being my video person.
Well, of course.
Appreciate it. Okay, everybody, take care. See you next time. Bye-bye.